So, on your bulletin are numbers related to COVID. Now, we read these numbers every Sunday. One thing we do know is that our numbers are steadily increasing. That has not changed. Another thing we know is that the number of deaths are increasing. That is not changing. What is changing is Knoxville County is steadily rising to the top as it relates to the counties in Mississippi with death, with the number of deaths. So, in line with Pastor Johnson's sermon series and the second sermon of that series that Reggie talked about today, I want to harp on one of their themes that's called right thinking. But we're going to think about right thinking as it relates to health. Now, many of you know I have a PhD. A lot of people call me Dr. Johnson. I'm not coming to you as Dr. Johnson today, but I'm coming to you sister to sister, brother to brother, mother to child. And let's talk about the vaccine. Now, I will own up to one, due to many of the horrible things and atrocities that have occurred within the history of our nation. We as Black people, Jewish individuals, even children with mental illness have not been always treated as they should have when it comes to research and the treatment of illnesses. So now we're hearing a lot about the Tuskegee study of untreated, then it was called Negro men, but we're going to say Black men with syphilis. And people are saying, I'm not going to get the vaccine because of the syphilis study that occurred with Black men. So for those of you who don't know those details, the years for that was 1932 to 1972. So what happened, there were about 600 men, 399 with syphilis. If you don't know what syphilis is, it's a sexually transmitted disease that we treat now with penicillin. There were also 201 men who did not have syphilis. So remember I said it started in 1932. Penicillin, which is the treatment for syphilis, came about in 1947. So if you listen to those years, there were decades that occurred after the treatment that Black men in the South were not treated for syphilis. And what the researcher said was, let's just see what happens if they don't get the penicillin. And that's what happened with the Tuskegee syphilis story. And so these men developed all kinds of health outcomes relevant to not being treated, okay? So I've also heard people saying, I'm not gonna get the vaccine because they're gonna give me the virus. That is not what the COVID vaccine is about. So the COVID, if you think about your body, we talk about DNA all the time, but we rarely talk about messenger RNA. So what happens, and you can go to the CDC website, text me out to give you some more things to think about. What happens, these companies are making synthetic mRNA, okay? That's what's being injected into the body. That goes into our cells that fight off disease, and what it does is creating a protein. Proteins are being created all the time in our body that basically tells the DNA what to do, basically. And so what happens when these proteins are created, and these proteins would be ones that have been found or created by the COVID-19 virus. It is not putting the virus in your body. It's telling the body, hey, this is a protein that shouldn't be there. Let's get rid of it. And so then it's creating antibodies to get rid of the protein. Okay? Why do you need two? One vaccine, well, there will be some some of the vaccines where we only need one. But why two now? So one is basically a booster to get your body fighting against this protein. The second one is say, hey, it's okay. Go ahead and knock it out. Okay? But it is not, again, the live virus. I know people in their cars are saying, all right, I like you, Sister Ro, but I don't believe it. Okay, I know that. That's fine. But that's science. Now, let's talk about what happens if you don't take the vaccine. If you are exposed to COVID-19, many things can happen. Some can recover. We have many individuals that are here in this parking lot that have recovered from COVID. We have many that we know of that have recovered, but are still dealing with the negative outcomes of COVID. We have some who are being represented by these flags that are out here in our parking lot. So, for me personally, I think about outweigh the potential implications of having COVID and the outcome versus the vaccine. And then some people say, yeah, people are dying from the vaccine or having reactions. We have always had vaccines that people have had allergic reactions to, okay? If you have underlying health conditions, you need to discuss that with your physician, your doctor, your nurse practitioner. Ask, what do you think of my risk of having severe reactions to the vaccine? And don't take just what I call a non-answer. Get an answer. The other thing is allergic reactions. Most allergic reactions, even if it's a severe reaction, then you get some epinephrine, and that will relieve those symptoms. When you think about it logically, if you think about the number of people who have received the vaccine versus the number of people that have had reactions, and yes, there has been a death associated with the vaccine, you have to look at the numbers and develop your own level of right thinking. Now, what's happening though, some people are saying, well, they're not going to give black people the right vaccine. So, and I'm going to admit, I was skeptical in the beginning about the vaccine. But now I am convinced and trying to get on the list to get the vaccine. It's not plausible that if we are set up to receive the vaccine, that there's going to be this stockpile that we're going to give the black people, that we're going to give the Asian people, we're going to give the Hispanic people, because COVID-19 is affecting all people. And you cannot keep it contained to just one race. And that's what happened. The thinking was initially, when so many of us were dying from it, there were groups of people who felt like it was a black thing. But now it's understood, COVID-19 doesn't care what color you are. Okay, it kills everybody, black, white, blue, green, red. The other thing is, and I'm going to sit down, you have to think about potentially the long-term effects when it comes to the vaccine, we black people not getting the vaccine. White people are getting the vaccine in large numbers. So in essence, we are potentially killing off our own race. That's what we're doing. So I just wanted to give you those things to think about as it relates to the vaccine. There's lots of information on the CDC's website. I can give you some sites to go look at. The other thing that might bring things home for some people is my dad. I don't know, my dad will be 85 this month, and he's been unable to get scheduled a scheduled appointment for the vaccine. So Pastor Johnson and I, my brother, are trying to figure out how we gonna get Daddy this vaccine. So I ask you this question. If I thought there was any inkling that the vaccine would harm or kill my father, and y'all know I'm a daddy's girl, would I be advocating and trying to get him the vaccine? So I urge you, just like Reggie has urged us, to look at our character, what's on the outside as well as the inside. I encourage you to exercise right thinking and make the decision about the COVID-19 vaccine. Thank you.